Welcome back. We are now in segment 6.11, and in this segment we will be doing a small exercise. So if you remember in exercise 3, right, we already done reviewed the items of capital and reserves and plus. So what are the liabilities we have discussed? We have an exercise 3 where we discussed about capital and reserves and surplus. So the remaining items, that is term liabilities and current liabilities, regarding this we will now going to do a small exercise. So we'll have a few questions to test your whether you have grasped the concepts of term liabilities and current liabilities. So the first question is, a term loan of 200 lakhs was sanctioned to the company on 14/8/2013, right? And the repayment term is stipulated as 84 monthly installments with initial holiday period of 6 months, and interest is to be paid as and when debited. This is the sanctioned stipulation, and the loan was availed on 30/9/2013. The actual outstanding as per balance sheet as on 31/3/2015 is 175 lakhs. So how much of this is classified as current liability? So seems to be a lengthy question. Let us break it down, right? So what is the question? So the bank has sanctioned a term loan of 200 lakhs. This is sanctioned on 14 August. And what did the company do? The company availed it on, the availment was on September 30th. So what are the sanction terms that the bank has stipulated? The bank said you repay this loan 200 lakhs in 84 monthly installments, and there is an initial holiday period of 6 months, right? The actual outstanding as on 31/3/2015 was said to be 175 lakhs. Our job is to find what is the current liability out of this 175 lakhs as on the balance sheet of 31/3/2015. If we were to draw the CMA data, how much of this 175 lakhs we are going to show as a current liability, and how much are we going to say term liability? Question. This is the question. How much we are going to show the current liability? The availment was on September 30th. So when is the repayment going to commence? The repayment is going to commence with an after initial holiday period of 6 months. What it means is, for 6 months the company need not pay the installments. So what are 6 months from? So add 6 months to this. So 39/2013, 6 months is going to be March 2014, right? So the repayment is actually going to start from the 34/2014. So this is something which you have to understand. 6 months from September is going to be ending on 31/3, but the repayment will not start on March 14. It's a normal banking practice that the repayment start 1 month later, because this is monthly repayment, monthly installment. The repayment is going to be start from April 2014. Say for example, the repayment was stipulated as 20 quarterly installments with the initial holiday period of 1 quarter, with initial holiday period of 6 months again. So then what we'll do, 6 months holiday is going to end on 31/3/2014. But now since this is a quarterly installment, the first installment is going to fall due on 36/2014. You see the difference here? In both the cases, 6 months is ending on 31/3/2014. But the first installment is going to fall due on April 30th here, because it is a monthly installment. On June, because it is a quarterly installment. If the repayment was stipulated as, the repayment, you make the repayment 5 annual installments. Only once a year you make the installment. 5 annual installments with initial holiday period of 6 months. Then when is the first installment going to fall due on? It's going to fall due on 6 months will be ending on 31/3/2014, and then the first installment will be on 31/3/2015. Are you seeing the difference here? This is how it is actually done in practice, right? So in this case, it is a monthly installment. So the first installment is going to fall due on April 30th, right? So April 30th will be the first installment due date, right? All right. So now, starting from April 30th, every month the installment should come down by how much? What is the installment amount? 200 lakhs by 84. So the installment amount 200 lakhs by 84, isn't it? So we are saying this 200 lakhs is to be repaid in for monthly installments, or per month you have to repay 200 by 84, whatever is that amount. So in 1 month, the installment should come down by 200 by 84. In 2 months it should be 200 by 84 into 2 months. In 3 months, yes. So by the end of the 84 months, you would have repaid the entire outstanding, right? So if I were to ask you, what should be the outstanding as on 34/2014? It will be the loan amount minus 1 installment. What is the 1 installment? Because this is the first month, 1 installment should have been paid. That is 200 by 84, right? At the second month, that is as on May 2014, would be the outstanding. The outstanding should come down to the original sanction minus. Now 2 installments should have been paid, right? Is this clear? 200 by 84 is 1 installment. The amount of 1 installment. This is the installment amount. At the end of the second month, 2 installments should have come down. The outstanding should have come down to 200 lakhs minus 2 installments. What happened? What about the third month? That is on June. What's going to happen? 3 installments, the outstanding should come down. 3 into 200 by 84. Is this clear? So it will go on reducing till the 84th month. Then the outstanding will become 0. Now what we're saying is, let's continue this and see what is the position going to be on 31/3/2015. We see 31/3/2015, 12 months are going to pass. So the company should have paid 12 installments: April, May, June, July, August, up to March. So the company should have paid 12 installments. So outstanding should have been, so the outstanding here should have been, what should the outstanding be here? It should have come down to 200 lakhs minus 12 into 100 by 84. Outstanding should have come down like this. Is this clear? The outstanding should have come down to this amount. So if you calculate this amount, this will work out to, is going to come down to 171.43. So as on 31/3/2015, the outstanding ought to be, the outstanding should have been, as per sanction terms, it should be 171.43, whereas the actual outstanding as per the system is 175. This is the actual outstanding. So there is an overdue here. What is the overdue? 175 minus 171.43. So this is 57, this is 3, right? So 3.57 is the overdue as on 31/3/2015. So now what is the current liability? We already discussed overdue is a current liability because this is already due. The company has to pay. We are saying current liability is something which is going to fall due within the next 1 year. This is already due. So this is obviously a current liability. Then what else is a current liability? In the next 1 year, what is the installment? That is also current liability. So here the per installment amount is 200/84, which we discussed. So for 12 months, so the next coming 12 months starting from 2015, right? So this is also going to be a current liability. So what is the current liability? So while the outstanding is 175, in the CMA data, out of this you are going to show this 3.57, 200/84 into 12, whatever is that amount. This works out to, this is around 32 lakhs, 32.14, 32.14, some around 32 lakhs, right? So out of this, 32 lakhs will be current liability, right? Is this clear? So balance whatever it will be is term liability. So the answer to this question is 32 lakhs. Did you get the concept? So as on this date, the question asks what is the current liability. So for a term loan available from bank, the portion that is to be repaid in the next 1 year is going to be current liability. Here the per installment is 284. In 1 year, 12 installments should be paid. So 200/84 into 12 will be the total installments payable in the next 1 year. So this is a current liability. Plus overdue is also there. So put together that will be the current liability, right? So the next question is, as against companies plan to raise 25 crores from through public issue, the issue was oversubscribed 3 times. How is the excess share application to be classified? So the company wanted 25 crores, but actually it got 75 crores. So this is the term usually see, oversubscribed. Oversubscribed means more than the issued amount. 25 crores was the issued amount, but 3 times it was oversubscribed. So 25 into 3, 75 crores the company actually got. So how is this excess share application money going to be classified? We already discussed this, right? Under the segment of share application money, this excess is going to be current liability, right? So next question, see the following table. So what is this table? It has liabilities and assets. Okay, so if the bank permits treating 50% of the unsecured loans as part of net worth, so this bank which we are considering is treating 50% of unsecured loans as part of net worth, and the maximum exposure the bank will take is 5 times net worth. Okay? And the company is presently availing OCC of 1250 lakhs, whose present outstanding is 1249. Now the company has applied for fresh term loan of 200 lakhs. Will the proposal be accepted or not? Okay. So first of all, let us calculate the net worth here. So net worth is, we had a formula. What is net worth? Capital plus reserves and surplus. This is 100 plus 175. 100 plus 175. So this is 275. Bank is also accepting 50% of unsecured loans as part of net worth. So what is the unsecured loan? Unsecured loans is 50 lakhs. You see here, unsecured loans is 50 lakhs. So not only this 100 plus 175, 50% of 50. So 100 plus 175, that is 275. In addition to this, 50% of unsecured loans, that is 25. That is also being accepted as part of net worth. So 300 lakhs, you can treat it as net worth. So this bank is treating net worth of this company as 300 lakhs, right? So now, maximum exposure the bank will take is 5 times net worth. So the maximum exposure, so as per the loan policy guidelines of this bank, it's going to take a maximum exposure of 1500 lakhs. So for a company with net worth of 300 lakhs, it's going to take a exposure up to 1500 lakhs. This is the bank policy, right? The company is already availing an OCC of 1250 lakhs. Now the company is applying for a fresh loan of 200 lakhs. Will the proposal be accepted? So what is the exposure? So what is the exposure here? Exposure already OCC is 1250. Now the company wants fresh term loan of 200 lakhs. So what is the exposure proposed is 1450 lakhs. So as per the policy, you can go up to 1500 lakhs, whereas the proposed exposure is only 1450. So can we accept the proposal? Yes, you can accept the proposal. So have you got this correct? So if your answer is correct, you are wrong. So if your answer is that, then you are wrong, right? So please be careful. Always when we speak of net worth, we always usually refer to tangible net worth. So it is not just capital plus reserves and surplus. You should also take off some intangible assets. So here we have overlooked this item, right? So let us do the calculation afresh. What is the calculation? Tangible net worth is capital plus reserves and surplus minus tangible assets, right? Capital is 100, 175. Also 50% of unsecured loans, that is 25 lakhs. That also can be accepted as per bank's policy. Deduct this 75 lakhs. So what is this? This is 300 minus 225. This is 225. So what is the maximum exposure the bank is going to take? 5 times the net worth. So how much is this? So the maximum exposure the bank will be willing to take is only 1125 lakhs. So already the exposure is exceeded. Already the OCC is 1250. It's already exceeded. Now the company wants a term loan of 200, making exposure 1450. So we cannot accept this proposal based on the single point of exposure. Now usually you'll be having some deviations, and relevant sanctioning authorities can still sanction with this deviation. That's a different issue. But from the point of view, for example, purely based on exposure norms, this cannot be accepted. So please always watch out for this intangible assets, right? Always be careful about these intangible assets. When we say net worth, don't just go for capital plus reserves and surplus. Always watch out for intangible assets. Otherwise, you're not going to get the correct net worth figure, right? So next question is, a company has chosen to depreciate assets as per straight line method in the books of accounts, whereas income tax authorities have calculated by considering WDV method. The life of the asset is 7 years, and the total tax as per books of account is 399 lakhs. The total of tax as per IT assessment was 6 for the 6 years is 343.2 lakhs. What is the missing value? So if you see here, this is exactly the same example which we discussed in the segment of deferred tax liability. So please go back to the section and review that segment once again. So if you are comfortable with that segment, you can easily answer this exact same example. The figures are also same exactly. So what the question is asking is, the total of tax here is 399 lakhs as per the books of accounts. So in the calculation as per IT Act, there is one missing value, and the rest 6 years values are given. So the question is asking, can you find this value? So this is something which we already discussed. The deferred tax liability is only a temporary difference. It is a timing difference. Ultimately, the company has to pay same tax in either method. So if this total is 399 lakhs, obviously this total of all the years is also 399 lakhs, right? These figures we are already given, the last 6 years figures. So just add up all these figures, right? Add up all these figures and then subtract from 399, obviously, because this total should be equal to this total, because the tax amount is not going to be different. This is only a temporary difference. So whatever is the difference, you just calculate. So 399 minus 343.2. So 55.8 lakhs. So the answer is 55.8 lakhs, right? So the next question is, OCC of a company was renewed for a period of 2 years as against normal 1 year. Usually we renew working capital limits for 1 year. This company was renewed for 2 years. Maybe it was a PSU unit or some other big company. The bank was comfortably renewing the limits for 2 years, right, as against 1 year. So how is this OCC going to be classified in the CMA data as a term liability or current liability? So please note that whether irrespective of the renewal period, it's always a current liability, something which we already discussed, because OCC, these are short-term borrowings, these are repayable on demand. This is always a current liability. Next question, you have a fixed deposit that gives a quarterly interest of 5,000. Here, going to give a quarter. Every quarter is going to give you 5,000. So for the full year 2013-14, bank will pay you interest of 5,000 on 4 different quarters: June, September, December, and March. But on other months, say 31/5/2013, you are entitled to get interest. It is just that bank is not paying you interest, obviously, right? So for example, April, May, June, even though there is some interest earned on your, so maybe this is some 1,400, this is some 1,600, right? This is 2,000. So for the quarter as a whole, the bank is going to pay you 5,000. So individual months, the interest earned on your fixed deposit is like this. On April, you are eligible for 1,400, May eligible for 1,600, June eligible for 2,000. But bank is not paying you every month. It's going to pay you only on quarter end. So a lump sum is going to pay you 5,000. So what is this amount? The question asks, what is this amount called? As on 31/5/2010, this 3,000 which is due to you, but bank has not yet paid to you. What is this called? So please recall, with this we already discussed. This is known as interest accrued, not due. This is a current liability. This is something which you already discussed. This is interest accrued, right? But not due, because the due is only on June, right? So this is not yet due. This is a current liability. This question, how is billing in excess of revenue to be classified? Again, this is something which we discussed earlier. This is nothing but advance receipt from customers. Advance receipt from customers, and this is the current liability. Next question, how is salaries payable to be classified? So we are in the month of June, right? Even though 5th has come of July, you have not yet paid the salaries. So the workers have worked for you the whole month of June. They have given the services, but you didn't pay the salaries. So as on 30 June 2013, right? As on 30 June 2013, which this is the day you normally pay salaries, but you didn't pay this day. So you are liable to. So this is salaries payable. This is a current liability because this is something you have to pay very shortly. So this is a current liability. How is unclaimed dividend to be classified? This again we classify. This is something which we discussed again. This is a current liability, right? Unclaimed dividend. Dividend is declared. The company is ready to pay, but nobody is coming forward to claim it. Maybe the address has changed. Maybe whatever it is, the unclaimed dividend, right? So this is a current liability. Last question is, since bills discounted is a contingent liability and not shown in the balance sheet figures, it should also not be shown in the CMA. Is it true or false? Please recall our segment where we discussed short-term borrowings. There we discussed various items like OCC and we discussed various points. There we also mentioned a point like, if there is bills discounted, usually company will not be showing in the balance sheet. So in the balance sheet, liabilities, assets. Here liabilities, you have various items, and one is called short-term borrowings from banks. Here usually the company will only showing the short-term borrowings, OCC, fund based. It's showing OCC and other stuff. Bills discounted, it won't be showing. It will be showing separately under something called contingent liability. This will not be appearing in the figures. It will be appearing in the notes to account somewhere. A short statement it will be making, but actually it will not be including in the liability. So there is such a scenario. Since what should you do? So should you show in the same data or not? So the question is, it should not be shown. Is it true or false? This is false. You should show. How you are going to show? This we already discussed, right? How we discuss? What should you do? Under short-term borrowings, bank. Say for example, short-term borrowings is 1000 and bill is discount is 200. You add this 200 to short-term borrowings. Make instead of 1000 show 1200. On the asset side, under the head of debtors or receivables, right? You add the 200. Right? This is how you show the bills discounted. This we discussed in an early segment. So this you have to show under current liabilities, under short-term borrowings from banks, right? So with this we come to the end of this segment. So in the next segment we'll be starting our discussion on assets. So far we have discussed all items that can appear in under the asset side, under the liability side of a balance sheet. All possible various liabilities, various items that can appear under the liability side of a balance sheet. In the next segment we will be starting our discussion on asset side of a balance sheet, right? See you then.